Hey guys, it's been a long time, hasn't it? I'm Dwight House, and this is the Krystal Archive Podcast, episode number 5. How about that, huh? Never heard that one before, have you? That's because it's completely new. Totally unique podcast theme created just for me by a very, very nice guy named Tansunn. You can find his website at jabcreations.com/Tansunn. Tansunn. He was gracious enough to about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, to offer to make me a podcast theme. Now, I've been offered that offer more than once before, but he was the fastest by far. I only had a chance to look over his email before he decided to IM me about it, and said, "Hey, I couldn't wait for you to send me the email. I want to know right now. Do you want me to do it?" I said, "Sure." So he was showing me what you can do, and that very night he sent me a sample of what he had, and it was okay, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So I gave him a few examples and told him the kind of thing I was looking for. And literally the next day, he arrived with what you heard there. He's very fast and very talented. Gave me exactly what I was looking for. So I hope you all enjoyed that. That's our new Krystal Archive podcast theme. And you'll be hearing more of Tansunn's work later on in the show. He's also composed the closing theme for us. So I think you'll enjoy that one also. It's another Star Fox Adventures classic. All right, before I get into any serious news or discussion, I just wanted to talk about one email I got in particular shortly after doing episode number 4. It was a guy named Josh. Mr. Josh was concerned that episode 4 sounded too scripted. It sounded like I was reading the whole thing off. And, well, he's right. I was reading the whole thing off. I had written out everything I wanted to say. And he thought that sounded too scripted, too emotionless. And I partly agree. I did like not having to say a single time in the podcast, but that's what the people want. So I'm going to try and do the whole podcast with minimal uhs and ands. But also, this podcast, there is no script at all. I'm just going off of a series of points that are very loosely defined, no talking points directly. So I'm going only from the key points. So I hope, Josh, if you're listening after all this time, you'll enjoy this more than you enjoyed the last episode. And speaking of a long time, it's been 106 days since the release of the last podcast. Almost a third of a year. It is currently, today is Sunday, January 7th, 2007. Happy New Year, guys. So, what took me so long? Well, it mainly had to do with school. Last semester, I'm in college, okay? I took 19 hours. Physics 2 lab, video editing, 4 computer science classes, including bioinformatics, which I guess some people like, but for me, it was probably the worst class ever. And website design class, and all this stuff, 19 hours. That was nothing compared to my 4 classes this semester. 400 level computer science classes. Very hard, lots of work, lots of reading, almost no time for anything. That's why it took me so long to do a podcast, or really anything. As you may have noticed, the update to the Krystal Archive took a really long time, and I didn't update it for several months during that time. And I'll get into the update in a little bit. But first, I want to go in a little bit of a sequence chronologically of what's happened since I've been gone. And I hope that this has been significant in your life recently. The Nintendo Wii launched this year, or last year. And now I'm going to look up the date because I don't have a script. The Wii launched, it launched here in America on November 19th, 2006. And I was among the first people in the world to play one. I got mine by, I helped my friend camp out. He was from New Orleans. He came up to here in Shreveport and we camped out all day in front of Walmart. And midnight that night, he got his, and then I drove across the street and got mine from the GameStop because I had pre-ordered mine months in advance, which I recommended to everyone. And I hope you all got a Wii because they're awesome. I hear that they're still selling out within hours of them being restocked in America, at least. Japan, it's doing reasonably well. It's still selling out, but not nearly as fast. But to say the least, the Wii is a hit, and we'll only see more good things from it with its revolutionary control style that's coming. And also, we have many really great games to look forward to in 2007. We've got Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which we talked about at length before. There's also my personal most anticipated title, yes, more than Brawl, Super Mario Galaxy. Think about it. It's Mario, he's awesome. Space, that's awesome too. Mario in space, it's totally awesome. It's like a geek's paradise. And I think you'll think so too if you get a chance to play it. Then there's Metroid Prime 3 also coming out in 2007. I'm hoping that most of these games will come out in first or second quarter 2007, but there's rumors that they're going to hold their release until Christmas season this year, which is unfortunate. But I can understand the reasons for doing so. Then another thing I'd like to talk about is Star Fox Command. Star Fox Command, for most of the world, is old news, but it's going to be released soon in Europe. In fact, it's going to be released in exactly 18 days by the time you hear this podcast. And so all our European friends, good luck to you. You're gonna love this game, I think, and it's only conquered by Star Fox 64 in pure gameplay. It's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it. Krystal's in it. What can I say? Next thing is, of course, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I didn't get to say that. I didn't get to create a Christmas podcast like I wanted to because of all the work, both right after school and then during my break. I've been keeping myself more busy than during the school year, even after school was done, when I was let out on my break. That's because I wanted to get things done. I have a list that's longer than a page of just things to do. I've had some of the things on there have been on there for 3 years, and I've been working steadily on those things. And a lot of things I've gotten accomplished. So you'll be seeing more from me in the near future now that all the major classes are done. Not just for this semester, this last semester, but also for my entire college career. I'm over the hill. I only have a couple more classes required for me to take before I graduate and move on to bigger things. So, Merry Christmas. I hope you got a Wii for Christmas if you didn't have one already. If not, keep looking. They're around. They keep restocking them. And Merry Christmas. Christmas has to do with our latest update. You see, on the Krystal Archive and other sites, I managed to get up updates for that day, or shortly after. And please forgive any dog barking you hear in the background. That's my dogs barking at some dog about a half mile away. So I don't think you can hear it, but if you do, it's not some muffled someone choking in the closet. That's my dogs outside. So, Krystal Archive, Christmas update. You get nearly all the articles are updated, and most of that has to do with both my knowledge of Command, now that I've beaten the game several times and have worked on the Star Fox Command All the Words website. If you haven't gone to that already, check it out. It's SFC for Star Fox Command .dwightdesign.com, and that has the entire script for the entire game, Star Fox Command. The only thing it doesn't have is the text that's spoken in battle, which of course changes based on the scenario. But even then, we sometimes have some text when a boss appears or whatever. So if you want to understand the complex story of Star Fox Command, that's the place to go. A friend of mine, let me look it up. It was me and another guy who goes by Nick Zimmich. And he did most of the missions because he's just so much faster at the game. But I did a few missions. We wrote down what we saw. And so if you haven't been on that site, check it out. It's got all kinds of stuff. It's got the missions. It's got the endings. It's got pictures for the prologue. It's got stats on all possible routes and different information about the possible routes. And it also has my favorite feature that I've been wanting to do since I first undertook this, was the random quote feature. Every time you load the page or every time you click the little new quote button, it gives you a new random quote from Star Fox Command. I believe we put about 100 quotes in there. So, I mean, one of my favorites is by Falco, and he's saying something like, hey, weren't you paying attention? I just killed like 9,000 guys. And, of course, Falco also has a lot of funny lines. He also says, Slippy is engaged to a woman? That's probably my second favorite right there. But check it out, random quote feature. I'm planning on making the random quote feature into a widget for Apple's dashboard widget manager and maybe some other ones. But I don't know. That's probably a long off in the future project. So Star Fox Command, all the words, check that out. sfc.dwightdesign.com. So now that I'd done that, I was able to update all the articles even remotely related to Command, and I did a few updates to other articles that weren't related, like here's one, Star Fox Assault. I finally updated the page on the variations on Star Fox Assault, which basically leads over to another page which has more about that. So that's some things, but just minimal stuff. Oh, and I added my picture back to the about the webmaster because people were making fun of the way I looked, and whatever, I don't care. But this is a better picture of me, and a more recent one in my shiny orange t-shirt by IBM. Alright, the next thing that got updated was the image section. I was given a higher resolution image of Krystal in the chair on the Great Fox. I was given the highest known picture, even bigger than the one found in the wallpaper. I was given a newly discovered wallpaper from Star Fox Adventures, and I thanks to some other sites, I got some of the pre-rendered images from Assault and Adventures. So that's in the image section. I've added well over 100 new fan arts, which total over 1,400 fan arts. And by the way, with the fan arts I have now about, ready to be updated in the near future, that I found shortly after making the Christmas update, will lead us to nearly 1,500 fan arts. So congratulations all you Krystal fan art artists, because you really have done a ton. Literally, if you put the paper on top of each other, it would be a ton of paper that Krystal is on. It's amazing. And more to come. As I predicted, there's more and more art based on Command, but also just, I'm just glad to see that the interest in Krystal has not died down, even over the many years since her original debut in Adventures. Okay, also, in the fan fiction section, I've added 2 more fanfics. And this is kind of an aside. I've updated my fanfiction, An Unlikely Enemy, and I did it, and I immediately got some reviews saying it was too short, too much dialogue, not enough detail, not enough emotion. Okay, I got the message. I'm going to be rewriting that chapter, keeping the idea the same, but giving more detail, more emotion, making it longer, everything that's wanted. So you can go ahead and check that out, but you might be disappointed until I get the new chapter written. That's a copy of the old one, but with more detail. In the audio section, I didn't do much. All I did was add a customized piece of audio by DZ Composer. He's a friend of mine from Star Fox Online. He did Krystal's theme from Adventures on the tuba. It's interesting. Try it. Just have a listen to it. The 3D model pages got a major update. I gave. It was shortly after I received, or I put up the last update to the 3D projects page. I had put a model in the others page saying it's an unknown render. I don't know who did this. Within days of that, a guy named Nanogur contacted me and said, I made that model. If you want to host it, here you go. And so I said, sure, send it on. So he sent me the model. You can download the model, the pictures, the textures, all the files you need to run this model. And this model is unique. It's one of the only ones I've ever seen that has actual fur on it. Not just textured fur, but actual fur and hair. It's probably the second, if not the best looking model out there. And you can download it right now from the Nanogur's model page on the the Krystal Archive page. So check that out. I also had updates to Fox Hunt's model because a guy named, I'm going to mispronounce your name, Chaisholos updated, was taking Fox Hunt's model and added fur and skinning and all this stuff. He's been working on it with Fox Hunt, so you can check that out. But you can only really check out the actual page where he's listing these models and such if you're a member of the KLA. Then there were 2 or 3 updates to Jay Fuja's model, which I thought was dead. I thought he had discontinued work on it, but apparently not. Here it is. You can download. Oh, you can't download, but you can see more shots. He stopped work on the face. It looks like he's done with the face, unless he's going to add some more texturing, but I'm sure that's in the future. And he's worked on the body. He's given her a body, and he's presumably shaping her now. And he's doing that right now. It's not a dead project. It's in development still. So maybe in the future we'll be able to download that one as well. There wasn't an update, as far as I know, to Raiku Kitsune's model, but there was an update to Pyroshmur's, or however you pronounce his name. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce her name either. Pyrohermisters. It's, is that even an English word? Because it's got like 6 letters with no vowels. Anyway, you can check that out. He updated a couple times since the last update to the 3D art project. Oh, and finally, the model, the Catgirl model that was posted by Nick Southam, one of the animators for Star Fox Adventures. He finally got his website back up and running, so you can go to his website, check out the Catgirl model, and you can watch the little 3D render movie that shows you what it looks like. It's a model that looks stunning, very much like Krystal. It's like either inspired by or the inspiration for Krystal. He calls it Catgirl. Okay, the next section that was updated in the Christmas update was the videos. And this was the most significant part. I've been promising since early last year that I would have updated versions of the videos. And I thought I was going to be able to do them during summer vacation last year. And I sort of got to where I could do it, but I didn't do it because I had other things to do, other big video editing projects to do, not to mention the huge amount of schoolwork. But over the past semester, while doing my schoolwork, because there's a lot of sitting around when you're doing video editing and rendering, I edited all the videos that I was going to do and got them all edited, all compressed, and moved to the right folder so they could be in preparation for being released. So I made sure I had that early, and I said, okay, I'm going to try and hit the Christmas Day for an update, and I did mostly, although it took me 3 whole days to get the one Christmas update out because there was so much in it. So what do you get with this? Well, you get every single cutscene, every single Star Fox Adventures, Star Fox Assault cutscene has been re-edited, re-encoded at higher quality, better encoding, and I've added some new videos. In the other Assault videos, I added a video explaining all of the differences in the Krystal briefing sequences. Whenever Fox and his crew are doing the briefing sequences, and you see the character on the left and the right, and they're talking to each other, and all that stuff, explaining the mission That's the only big place where there's a difference between the Japanese and English versions of Star Fox Assault, in which all of the characters, not just Krystal, show a bunch more facial movement and emotion. Well, I have a video showing both both the American and the Japanese versions side by side and one after the other, so you can see the differences, and even at the same time. So that's there. I've been promising that one for some time, and that's part of the differences that was mentioned in the Assault Differences article. There's also the shot difference. As I've mentioned earlier, I'm not maybe not here, but I've definitely mentioned this on the Star Fox Online podcast. In the first mission, when the Aperoid appears, it shoots at your team member. In America, it shoots at Krystal, but in Japan, it shoots at Slippy. So I have a video showing that. Also, a long time ago, on Star Fox Online, on the KLA, Krystal Lovers Association, some people made a post about saying, hey, if you wait a long time into playing the Soria mission in Assault, you get to see them, the team, conversing about different subjects. And some of those subjects have to do with Krystal and Fox's past on Soria. And so I have a video that goes through and explains, what this is, and also tells you at what time period the given message occurs. And it's true, Krystal and Fox do talk about their past on Soria. It's Falco says, hey, didn't you two guys first meet here? And Krystal says, that's right, this place holds many memories for us. And then Fox says, we're not going to let those stinking Aperoids ruin this planet, and whatever. So you can see all those, and it's not just that one. It's about 5 or 6 different conversations, and you can see them all in a relatively quick video. This video, I deleted the original source video before I had a chance to re-encode it at a better quality. So it will be at full quality, but it will have some artifacts from the from the interlacing procedure, because I didn't know how to do it at the time, and by that time it was my largest video. It was an hour long. I had to delete it to make space for other stuff. But in the future, I'll probably redo that video with better character movement, less background noise, and the reduced relics from the deinterlacing process. Another new video I put up was thanks to Cassandra Black Fox. He sent me this video. It's from IGN. It's a full quality video from E3 or some other gaming conference before the game was released. And the game was mostly complete. And you see the cutscenes. And the cutscenes text is a little different each time. But the main difference is the voice acting. It is incredibly bad. I mean, I like to be nice, it's probably a lot better than I could do for any given character. But still, from the sound of it, it seems like they took whoever was around the office doing the translation and say, hey, we need a girl's voice to do Krystal. Hey, we need an old guy's voice to sound like Peppy. And they did this one cutscene that's of a mission. Of a briefing. So check that out for a good laugh. Of course, the Star Fox Assault demo 2003 is still there, and my own video, Krystal Hates Slippy, is also still there. Another set of new videos I added 2 new videos from Star Fox Command showing Krystal. And because of the nature of the DS, I'm unable to record the DS at this time. So only those I got from an official source like this was I able to upload. So you'll actually see videos from IGN and game trailers, I believe. So that's 2 videos showing Krystal. The Dinosaur Planet demos have not changed. I've added, I believe it's 3 more. Yes. No, yeah, 3 new Krystal fan films were added to All Krystal Fan. Krystal Tribute with the song 24 by Jim. And my personal favorite, Krystal by Abby Freak. That is my favorite video. It's a good song, goes well with the video editing. And by the way, I have some more videos, fan films, already ready to be uploaded pretty soon. I just have to agree with contacts and talk to people and make sure it's okay. but I've got at least another 2 or 3 to upload soon. So Krystal fan films, they're coming out of the woodwork. Check them out. And the final thing might be a bit confusing. Under the other video, in the video section, I have a page called video editing. And what I've provided for you, all of your Krystal fans who like to make fan films, this is your resource. I've taken the videos, the original source videos that I used to create all the cutscenes, and I chopped them up so it was only the Krystal. It may not be the whole cutscene each time, but I chopped them up so it was all video featuring Krystal in any kind of cutscene. Even the things that I didn't count as cutscenes in the rest of the site, they're there. And I rendered them at double quality. They're twice as high quality as the ones you'll download in the cutscenes area. And they have the sound pre-removed so as to reduce the file size, and they're all in one package. So you can download a 201 megabyte H.264 MPEG-4 video that contains all times Krystal is visually featured in Star Fox Adventures, and the same for Star Fox Assault. That one is 77.9 megabytes. These huge videos are perfect for you to edit with, make your videos. There is some slight problems with using the H.264 codec, particularly with decoding it into a editable form, but I provided a how to use videos section that hopefully will explain everything you need to know to use these videos. Now, I should stress that these are for fan films only. These are probably not very interesting at all to anyone who's not going to do some kind of video editing because, for the very least, they have no sound. What's more, there's no smooth transitions between scenes. It's just cut, break, cuts between the scenes with no special fade-ins or fade-outs like I do with the cutscenes. So if you like that, and you want to do a fan film, this will help you out. It'll be higher quality. Use it, please. That's what I made it for. So that is the Krystal Archive Christmas update that took several months and 3 days out of my life. So there you go. I hope you like it. Now, that wasn't the only thing I managed to update this Christmas. Another thing I updated was, along with the cutscenes for Krystal in Assault, I just decided to go ahead and do cutscenes for everything, not just the ones featuring Krystal, but every cutscene in Assault. And you can download every single cutscene in Assault, from the intro to the ending, all on the starfoxonline.net. That's where I put it. starfox-online.net. It's in the media section under video, under Star Fox Assault. I have every single cutscene, and down those two. They're all available to you. And another thing I forgot to mention is, with all these updates to the videos, I also plan to add, for the Assault section, for Assault cutscenes, I plan to add a small audio clip for every cutscene, so that you can watch the video and, if you want, hear what they're saying in the Japanese version at the same time. That's going to come in the future when I get enough time to edit that much audio. And also, I'm going to take all the videos on my site, all of them, and not just from Krystal Archive, but also from Star Fox Online, and put them on YouTube so that they'll have an easy access for people who are not looking for the highest quality, or perhaps are not capable of receiving the highest quality. So that's coming soon. Updates to the audio in Assault for Japanese version, and YouTube versions of all videos. So there you go. So Star Fox Online got that update. And the final update I got ready for Christmas was the Saurian translator. If you haven't seen this already, this is my own creation. It translates back and forth between English and Saurian in real time as you type. This was an exercise in learning JavaScript, and it's my pride and joy because it's so compact and it does its job very, very well. and I've just kept adding features to it, both as to be helpful to you guys and also to test my skills with JavaScript and such. This would probably be my first practical experience with JavaScript. But anyway, it translates back and forth to Sora and has additional options such as the language filter, which filters out curse words. Of course, it can be turned off because it really slows down the translation. And also, I've added proper noun detection, which is by default on, and does a very good job so long as you're typing in fairly normal English, which means that the only capital letters are the ones at the beginning of the sentence and any proper nouns, and also that you don't have additional spaces between words and punctuation if you just have one space. One of the issues still left to be fixed is to get it to recognize tabs, new lines, and additional spaces. I'm working on that. But anyway, I decided to get the Sora translator up to beta version 4. And in version 4, which was released on Christmas Day, I changed the text inputs into text areas so they could allow for unlimited text input amounts. Previously, you were limited to something like 512 characters, which could be restricted if you're trying to do a large portion of text. I also added a downloadable version, which was requested, so that you can run it with one file on your computer without downloading anything or going to any website. That's available. I added some slight changes to the structure of the site, and I added a JavaScript detection message, so if you don't have JavaScript on, it'll let you know so you can turn it on and then it will work, because this is all based on JavaScript. It won't work without it. So I did some small additions and fixes. That's version 4. Then just today, just to get ahead of myself, I actually released version 4.1. That's today, the 7th, December 7th, 2007. You'll most likely be hearing this episode tomorrow on the 8th, but today, as I'm recording this, version 4.1, and the main addition I did with this was because I noticed that even my Christmas version 4, wouldn't work on Opera for Wii, which I've gotten recently, and a lot of people are using now, especially Nintendo fans. Well, I knew I needed to have an Opera Wii compatible version, so I did, and it turned out to be so very simple. I mean, I thought I was going to have to do some timing scripts to run through and test whether anything had been inputted yet and everything and all this stuff. No, all it required was to recall the translation scripts based on a click rather than on text input, because you can't input text with a keyboard on Opera. It acts like a click, and as you click, when you click a text area or text box in Opera for Wii, it actually brings up the little menu where you type in manually with the pointer. So that's fixed. It works on Opera for Wii. It also fixed a margin error, and it's compatible, and I add some small graphical changes. So that's version 4.1, and use it, love it, and download it now. So there you go. That's those are the Christmas updates. All the stuff I got. Now that's not the beginning of the things I wanted to update for Christmas, but I just ran out of time. So let me talk about Brawl. Just to give you a reminder, Super Smash Bros. Brawl for the Nintendo Wii is scheduled for release in 2007. In fact, confirmed for release in 2007. And we know it will feature, at the very least, Fox McCloud, because we saw him in the most recent demonstration movie of the game. And you can go and check that out on YouTube easily. You can also download it at GameTrailers.com. You can find even the full resolution versions. And its main feature is to show in-game fighting and Fox McCloud as a new revealed character. And Fox McCloud, it also shows a Cornerian stage where you're on the Great Fox, and then it detaches from the Great Fox, and it looks like you enter the atmosphere. It's a moving stage, a stage that changes as you go through it, but not as drastically as, say, the F-Zero stage from Melee. So, the main thing with Brawl is the relative mystery of what characters are going to be available in it. And it's no secret that Krystal is probably one of the top 5 most wanted characters in Brawl, at least from what I've seen. Lots of major news sites have published her as one of the most likely candidates, and many people request her, even on the Japanese side of the Brawl website, where there was a request for him. And I've talked about this before, where I did a Brawl project trying to get people to recognize it and send their signatures, and we all did that. It wasn't very successful. They pretty much ignored it. But that's in the past, and we're still hopeful. There's still, I'm afraid, new information at least, about Krystal's inclusion, but we hold out hope. There is one bit of unfortunate news. There was some reporting based on, there was a rumor that Baby Bowser, young Link from the Wind Waker, and one other character that I forget now will be available in Brawl, and then it turned out that was a false news report. At the same time as that news report was given, there were similar reports saying that there were going to be approximately 40 characters. Rather than doubling the 25 in Melee, or 26, they're actually only going to have 3/4, about 40 characters, and only about 2 or 3 third-party characters, like Solid Snake, who's already been confirmed. So, since those two news items were intertwined, that means that all the sources have dried up, and now no one is reporting that figure of about 40 characters. So that's unconfirmed. So that could be good or bad news, because it could be either more or less. The more characters available, the more likely Krystal will be in it. But the general consensus is they're not going to do too many characters. They want to have, only so many really good, well-balanced characters, like in Melee. So that's all the Brawl-related news I have for now. And now we come to my first major new announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, by the time you hear this podcast, on January 8th, 2007, it will have been exactly 1 year since the Krystal Archive appeared online back in January 8th, 2006. So, hey, 1 year anniversary, alright, huh? I was wanting to do this huge Mega Krystal update for the Christmas update on that anniversary, because I had some other things planned too, but it didn't happen. But it's been 1 year since I put that on. It was a couple of days before people even noticed, and then it was about a month or two before people really started liking the site, and that mainly came from people noticing it on DeviantArt when I started my DeviantArt account there, and also my discovery that the KLA, the Krystal Lovers Association, did not actually die years ago when I had last seen it. And in fact, it had reborn just a few months before on Eggman's website. So the Krystal Lovers Association is alive and well, and thanks to them and many other places, the Krystal Archive is what it is today, and only continues to expand. So I guess congratulations are in order, but I guess I'm the one being congratulated or something. But anyway, here's congratulations, Krystal, for holding our interest for all these years, and more in the future. So that's 1 year. Well, because this is the 1 year anniversary podcast, which I've kept hidden for the beginning of the podcast, I'm going to make some announcements about the future of the site, which I wouldn't normally do. Here's some things I'm going to do in the future, in the near future, with the site, okay? I'm going to redesign the site. I wanted to keep this a surprise, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. The site's going to be redesigned. As some of you know, who've been looking at the Krystal Archive for some time, this is actually the second version. The original version was not nearly as complex or as large. Most of the pages were combined into one or several. The 50 or so pages were combined into maybe 8 large pages that had sections on them. And now it's a nice site that expands when you open the window and all this good stuff. But the version 3 is going to have a bunch more. And that's based on a new development called, I call the perfect layout. it was maybe 4 or even 5 months ago. I began during the school year working on a project I call the Perfect Layout, which is my attempt to create a stable, unbreakable layout that has all the components necessary to build a site. Because when you're building a website, the thing that gets you is unanticipated consequences. You build a site, you think it's great, you start adding content, and you realize you need something. Well, instead of going back and redesigning it like you should, creating the correct structure for that given change, you just throw a hack in there that makes it work for right now. And it ends up you having to use that hack many, many, many times. And it's very, very, makes the code very annoying to handle. Like, for instance, on the Krystal Archive version 2, the main problem I have is that because of a certain floating error, I can't force certain images to be below images without also forcing it to be below the menu. So on pages like a gallery that contains images, on any of the video galleries, I can't just say clear the picture to go below it. I have to put some physical additional spaces in there, which is about the worst design choice you can do. But it's all I could do without redesigning some of the basic structures. So the Perfect Layout is designed to anticipate all common features, all common imports, all common stylings beforehand, and give you a general but well-built layout with which to build. And it is the culmination of my 2 or 3 plus years of making websites. And I gotta say, I've learned so much just making that. And it's also kind of freeing, because if you want to go back and redesign something, you can. I in fact do intentionally go back and redesign that thing many times. And I went through 9 partial versions, and I'm now at beta 1.0. That was also something I meant to release on Christmas Day, but didn't get to it. But the beta of the Perfect Layout is going to be available for anyone to use. Anyone who wants to make a website, you can. I'm going to be releasing that for everyone to use. It's just give me some time to create a site, to feature the site and the download, and make sure I've got everything up to date. So, the Perfect Layout is going to help me build a new, harder, better, faster, stronger Krystal Archive in the very near future. Coming with that additional new version will be a new server. I'm going to be moving from my current server on Kanaka.com, a web hosting company in Canada, to the much better and greatly praised DreamHost. DreamHost provides 2 terabytes of bandwidth, 200 gigabytes of space, both of which increase by a set amount every month that you stay with them. It's like Gmail, keeps increasing over and over. You also get the ability to run anything. I can run any kind of application, PHP, SQL, Ruby on Rails. I could build it with anything. The only thing you don't get with the basic plan, you can actually get this with a bigger plan, is the ability to process credit card transactions online. There's no way I'm going to need that anytime soon, because after all, Krystal Archive is a free service to all. No ads ever. Can I get an applause for that? Okay, maybe not. Maybe so. Maybe I'll add some in the post-production. Who knows? Anyway, Krystal Archive, free forever. There's also... and the reason I'm moving is because Kanaka... I have no problem with their bandwidth or their space. I have plenty of space, plenty of bandwidth. But their restrictions are becoming too restrictive, and I need the ability to run SQL and PHP the way I need to without being restricted so much. I can run things in a more efficient manner. Make the site bigger, better, and faster with minimal work on my part. So we're going to get tons of new space. Oh, and by the way, if I have more space, that might mean I can put up higher resolution videos if I need to, or if I feel that's necessary. I can put up bigger videos. I can host more things. And it's not just the Krystal Archive. I mean, the Krystal Archive is hosted on my website, dwightdesign.com, in a subdomain. And it's not the only website running from there. I have several other websites running from subdomains. And so I need this additional stuff for other websites as well. So, new server, new layout. Other additions I'm going to have in the near future are some new articles. Some articles I've been planning or promising for a long time. I need to give you that article I've been promising about the interviews with some of the developers of Star Fox Adventures. I need to put that up there. Their answers to our questions, my questions about Krystal and the development of the game. I've been promising that for a while. I'm also, thanks to recording the videos and cutscenes again from Star Fox Assault, I'll be adding temporary pages for Star Fox Assault in the Japanese and American version for the audio. Now, the audio is not going to be perfect because I can't record just their voices. I have to record some of the background noise. But for now, I think it's good enough. I'll go ahead and put what audio up I have of Krystal speaking in Assault, both Japanese and American version. So look forward to that in the near future. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, YouTube versions of all videos are coming soon. Now, about the interviews with the developers of Star Fox Adventures, I did in fact receive another set of answers for my questions from this person who agreed to talk with me. Only by being anonymous, this person would talk to me, and they did. So, I've got some more answers. I think you'll be kind of disappointed because I asked, I believe, all the wrong questions. This person really didn't know the answers. But here's what you got. Here's what I have. First question. Could you put this debate to rest once and for all? Who pushes Krystal into that beam at the beginning of the game? The beginning of Star Fox Adventures? There is a large percentage of people who say it's Andros, since the same video effect is used at the end of the game when Andros appears as the Krazoa head. However, there are some inherent problems with that, namely, Andros is way too big to fit inside that little hallway where she gets pushed into the beam, and then later into the Krystal. And this person's answer was they didn't really know, they didn't work on that scene. Second question, and by the way, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on these questions. I'll try and ask other people as necessary to see if I can get a good answer. Second question was, you said in response to an earlier question that a manager decided to at one point cut Krystal from the game. Then Nintendo specifically requested that she be not cut, brought back into the game. Could you give us some of the reasoning involved with those two decisions? Unfortunately, they did not have an answer. They didn't hear those conversations. Okay, the next question is, with several websites, forums, almost 2,000 fan arts, did you or anyone else on the team ever expect Krystal to be so popular? Their response was the designer would know that answer better, but it's always nice to hear when something you're involved in is well received. That's about the most definitive answer this person's going to give us. But continuing, the next question is, I know that the Dino language, or Saurian as I call it, wasn't in the game until the transition. Could you tell us why that was included and what do you think about it? They didn't have a response. They didn't know was their response. Here are a couple questions from others. I requested that you send me questions to be asked to these people, and I put them to them, and they had these answers. Unfortunately, they're not that great, but here you go. After the transit, this one I believe was, no, I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly who gave me this question, but it goes like this. After the transition to Star Fox Adventures, how many versions of Krystal did you go through before deciding on the final look, and what did she look like earlier? This is after she had gone from being a cat to a fox, like Fox McCloud. This person's answer was, no, there was just that one. So the Krystal model we see in Adventures is the actual model used in the final product. It was the original, the one they made shortly after the transition. They didn't go through several stages of design. I guess their designer is quite talented and can do in one step what other people take a lot of work to do. But hey, they're professional. It's rare after all. They do very good work. Let's see. The final question by another person was, and this is by Firefox Girl from Star, I believe, I'm not sure if she's on Starflex Online, but I know she's from the KLA. She asks, are you or your past co-workers generally interested in looking at fan art or fan fiction by fans of the games? Their response was, no, not really, but they think it's really nice that kids might be inspired to make their own art based on the games. It comes back to that being proud of what you've worked on, even if you're not interested in directly what they people make. So that's the major content of the podcast. So now I'm going to start wrapping it up. Since it's been so many days, over 100 days since the last podcast, I'm not going to take any emails at this time because it's been just too long since the last episode. Any questions I've gotten, I've already answered long ago and sent them in back to the person. So I'm not going to take any more take any emails this time. However, I encourage you, if you have a question, comment, death threat, anything at all, send me an email, and I will read them on the air, answer your question, and send your email response back to you probably before you hear the podcast. But hey, if you get mentioned on the podcast, that's a reward in and of itself. So email me. I love to hear from you guys, and I am happy to answer any question. There are no stupid questions. Don't feel like you're wasting my time, because answering your questions is one of my most favorite parts of doing all this Krystal Archive stuff. One additional thing, if not all of you saw the Krystal Archive back in April 2006, but if you did, you might have noticed something very interesting. Namely, on April 1st, April Fool's Day, the whole site turned yellow. Everything was, instead of a blue, dark blue, and black color scheme, was now a yellow, white, and black color scheme to help people adjust to the Krystal Archive changing into the Renamon Archive. That was an April Fool's joke. A lot of people got tricked by that, and it was even better because that midnight when I was getting ready to update it, I told Eggman, the owner of the KLA, about my plan, and he thought it was genius. And so he decided to simultaneously change the Krystal Lovers Association into the Renamon Lovers Association. Oh, we had so much fun for many, many hours seeing people react. Some people were angry. Some people said, oh, I'm never visiting again. Most of the angry people were on the KLA because, it's a community after all. It's their part of making the choices, at least to some extent. Whereas my website, most of the emails I got were to the effect of, well, I'm sorry to see the Krystal Archive go, but, it's your choice and you got to be true to yourself and all that stuff. Oh man, it was so funny watching people react. But in the end, and I'd say approximately 60% of people were fooled. But most people realized that it was April Fool's. April Fool's is the internet's favorite holiday. Almost every website out there makes some change for April Fool's. And if you need some more examples, check out thinkgeek.com on April Fool's Day. ThinkGeek sells geek products and for tech products, T-shirts with tech stuff on them and all this good stuff. Well, they always come out with the greatest stuff on April Fool's Day. They come out with fake items that just can't exist or just so silly they never exist. And so April Fool's, it's always celebrated on the internet. So because of the resounding success of last year's April Fool's joke, and because I've kind of run out of ideas that haven't been done before. I mean, the Renamon Archive, I thought that was pretty good, pretty unique. Most people will come up with, say, oh, we got a 404 error, this site has been shut down by the FCC for copyright violations or whatever. That's been done. So I'm taking requests. I'm taking suggestions for the April Fool's Joke 2007. Send them in. Tell me what you think. Now, it may be obvious to some people, hey, Dwight, you're telling us on the podcast that you're going to be doing an April Fool's joke. But some people aren't paying attention. Maybe they come look at the Krystal Archive early in the morning when they're still half asleep and they say, whoa, what is that? That's what I'm looking for. So just send in your suggestions for the April Fool's joke. I'll probably pick the best one you suggest because I'm out of ideas. for this year. So send those in. I can't wait to see your responses on that, in addition to your other emails. And with that, I can't thank Tansunn enough for providing me these custom themes for the podcast. Thank you so much. It's exactly, and I listened to these things just by themselves when I was getting ready for this podcast. I said, oh man, I've got these themes now, and it's just in time for the 1 year anniversary. I'm going to do a 1 year anniversary podcast. And you're lucky, by the way, because I have not had a chance until just now to do the podcast when I've been alone and there's been enough silence around me to be able to do it. So this podcast is a blessing to you guys, even if you don't realize it. But before that, even while waiting in anticipation for a time when I can record this, I've been just listening to those podcast themes over and over because I like them so much. Maybe you're not so big of a fan of techno as I am, but these were just perfect. The kinds of remixes you're never going to hear anywhere else because people don't look at those particular music pieces as having techno value, I suppose. I'm not a music person, if you didn't already know. I also like to thank Rowan France, who continues his work as our fanfiction reviewer, and though he's been busy a lot lately, I just really want to thank him for his work, and hopefully he'll be able to do even more fanfic reviews in the future. By the way, if you send me fanfics, that's where they go. They go to him. Unless they're really short, I just send them straight to him, and he gets back to me within a month or two. It sometimes takes a little time to do your fanfiction reviews, but when you do, you get a great review by someone who's read the whole thing. So thank you very much. I could not do the fiction section without you, Rowan France. I'd also like to thank everybody who sends me information, images, videos, all this great stuff. I could not do this without you. Thank you so much for sending me your information and also for your emails. I love reading your emails every day. It may take me some time to answer, but I usually try to answer your emails pretty quickly. So, this has been Krystal Archive Podcast, episode number 5. I'm Dwight House, and thank you for listening.